Hey guys, Oscar here for Not a Grouch, and I just finished covering this event. And thank you, Reverend. And they just talked about the defacing of the synagogue in Irvine. Excuse me. And they're actually offering a $5,000 reward, you know, aiding and capturing and convicting whoever perpetrated that vandalism. It's also known as a hate crime, so they're talking about that. I was here to record the press conference. I told you about that assignment, and so we'll see how it goes. We'll see if it gets picked up, and it was pretty cool. It's a little intimidating, because as you can see, there's news crews here, like major channels, NBC, KTLA, you know, big outlets are here, so it was a little intimidating to be here with a little camera. But it was interesting, nonetheless, to see how it all works. So this is talking about that Stringer app that I told you before. Very, very clever. It's basically crowdsourcing news footage. So anyway, take a look down below. Link in the description. And also, if you happen to be in Irvine and you know anything about this event, there's a $5,000 reward for anybody that brings some information to lead to the conviction of whoever did that. So anyway, talk to you guys later.
All right, we ready? Okay, thanks for your patience, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today for this press conference. My name is Kim Moore. I'm the communications manager for the Irvine Police Department. This morning we have several speakers who would like to say a few words this morning. I'm going to go ahead and introduce each one of them individually as they come up. And I would like to introduce to everyone this morning, to start us off, Irvine Mayor Don Wagner. Mayor Wagner.
Thank you very much, Kim, and good morning. My name is Don Wagner. I am privileged to serve as the mayor of Irvine. With us are many of my council colleagues, Mayor Pro Tem Christina Shea, Melissa Fox, and Councilwoman Lynn Schott. And as Kim mentioned, we do have a few speakers, so please hold questions until the end. We would all greatly appreciate it. I want to begin by thanking everyone for coming out today. More importantly, though, I want to thank the good people of Irvine for coming out so strongly these last few days in support of our Jewish community. The hate visited upon us recently at Beth Jacob pales in comparison, of course, to the horror seen last week in my hometown of Pittsburgh. But it does show, sadly, that no one is immune to hatred. I was asked by a reporter the other day, what can be done to stop such anti-Semitism and hatred? Anti-Semitism has been a scourge on humanity for thousands of years. What can be done? The battle must be fought and refought. It is for the good people in each generation to recognize that, to call out hate for the evil that it is, and to not shrink from fighting it, because the fight is a righteous one. We saw in Pittsburgh most horribly, and also at Beth Jacob Congregation, that no community is exempt. The fight is not just for others, but for all of us. The fight is here and now. We are joined today by a number of community leaders who are engaged in that fight. In particular, from law enforcement, we have our Chief of Police, Mike Hamill, who will speak to you shortly. But I also want to recognize and thank for being here, also from law enforcement, Orange County's Sheriff, Sandra Hutchins, and from our District Attorney Tony Rakakis' office, Susan Kang-Schroeder. They and Chief Hamill are here to reinforce law enforcement's commitment to the safety of all our many diverse and wonderful community members, and to reassure everyone that law enforcement takes hate crime very seriously. They intend to root it out wherever it rears its ugly head, and to protect all those against whom it aims its ignorant blows. Also, specially joining us, and I am quite grateful that they are here, are members of other groups that have sadly been the targets of hatred. We truly are all standing together today. We have Pastor Mark Whitlock from Christ Our Redeemer Church and Sheikh Atef Magoub from the Islamic Center of Irvine. Today, They and all of us rise in solidarity with our friends and neighbors of the Beth Jacob Congregation. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Finally, to show our collective revulsion to the attacks of the last few days and to reaffirm that hate has no home in Irvine, we have representatives from county government. Irvine's supervisor, Todd Spitzer, is with us. From the education community, the South Orange County College District's Board President Tim Jamal and President of Irvine Valley College, Dr. Glenn Rockmore. And from our vibrant and marvelously diverse business community, we have Brian Starr, the President of the Chamber of Commerce. Again, thank you all for being here to demonstrate the breadth of this community's commitment to stand in solidarity with the victims of hate. Every year in Sacramento, the state legislature remembers the Holocaust with a somber ceremony and a few speeches. One year while I was serving up there, I rose to speak. I'm sure a lot of folks looked somewhat skeptical, wondered what a cradle Catholic like me, named Wagner no less, had to say. I told them of my grandfather. Ironically, he lived his entire life in Pittsburgh, who I never met. He died when my mother was 2, killed in the Second World War, fighting against that very Holocaust. And I told them of the woman he married, my grandmother, maiden name Samuels, born Jewish, and under the laws of the country he died fighting, would have been sent to a camp, along with her only child, my mother, and her grandchildren. In this great melting pot of a country, you do not have to go very far. You do not have to look very hard to find someone, some family, some close, dear friend who has not been touched, perhaps even scarred by hate. It is all of our problem. It can touch any one of us at any time. That is why it is so important for us all to stand together, to be here, and to fight against this evil. I do want to note that today's conference came together quickly. That is a testimony to the good heart of so many people in Irvine and all of Orange County. Just yesterday, we learned of the generous offer of a reward from the ADL, and by nightfall, the many leaders who stand behind me and others, I got a call from Mimi Walters pledging all of the support her office could rally to find who did this and to put a stop to it. All of these leaders rallied to make sure they were here this morning or were otherwise lending their voices against hatred, intolerance, and evil, and to make sure everyone knows we will not tolerate this barbarism. On behalf of the City Council, on behalf of the entire city I am privileged to represent, I want to thank the ADL and its Regional Director, Peter Levy, who you will hear from shortly, for the offer of a reward for information about this crime. Chief Hamill can provide details on the investigation. I just want to leave everyone with the very clear understanding that I, my council colleagues, and the entire Irvine community stand squarely with you, Rabbi Sinar, and with your congregation. Please make no mistake, while the words were written on your building, this was an attack on all of us, and we will not tolerate it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we'll go ahead and hear from Rabbi Sinar from Beth Jacob Congregation.
Thank you very much. This Wednesday morning, we were shocked and saddened by the raw hatred directed at us by one individual. But very soon afterwards, we were overwhelmed by the concern, solidarity, and true friendship that embraced us by so many, many individuals and institutions. Many of the calls and emails that I received came in the wake of the Pittsburgh murders, even before our campus was vandalized. But following the spray painting on our wall, it became a virtual tsunami of human goodness, none politicized, but the true American spirit and what Irvine represents and means to each and every one of us. The Bible describes mankind as having been created b'tselem Elokim, in the image of God. We are taught that each and every human being has that spark, that component of godliness in them. We were confronted by evil, and we have overwhelmed it with godliness, with goodness, with compassion, and with respect for each and every person, whether they serve God as we do, in a different manner, or not at all. You all have demonstrated that fundamental human concept that everyone, even those that might be viewed by some as others, deserve respect and the ability to lead their lives unencumbered by the prejudices and whims of others. This past summer, I led a group from my congregation on a Poland-Israel trip. We encountered a world past where such acts were encouraged by the political leaders, by law enforcement, and by much of the population at large. We thank God for the United States of America, for the City of Irvine, and for our fellow American and Irvine citizens, for the clearest demonstration that our world today will not stand by when such acts are committed. We thank you, Mayor Wagner and Chief Hamill, for your strong, unequivocal friendship and leadership, and for your resolve in dealing with such acts. The example that each of you set permeates all levels of the city and law enforcement. Thank you. My deepest thanks to the faith leaders, the ADL, and civic leaders all across the spectrum who have reached out to me and to my congregation. To the regular citizens who have come forth with flowers and with spray bottles, offering to help clean the defaced wall. We feel proud and privileged to live amongst you as friends and neighbors, and to call Irvine our home. And we offer a prayer to God above that all mankind should recognize that spark of God that is in them and in every single human being. I will conclude with the words of prayer said daily in Beth Jacob and Jewish places of worship throughout the world. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. God who makes peace above will help make peace amongst us. V'nomar amen, and let us say amen.
Next, we have Peter Levy from the ADL.
I'm glad to see all of you here. I'm proud to stand up with this crowd of individuals. It's important for the whole community to come out, to be here with electeds and city officials, with law enforcement. They've sent a message strong to us that we all stand together and that there's support. But more importantly, with the interfaith community and the communities that have been targeted with this type of hatred, they come with not only a message, they stand together with the Jewish community right now, but they send the message that when you are victimized, we're victimized. When hate comes at your community, hate's coming at our community. We not just stand with you in support, we're on this journey together. And we're sending that message, right, that there is no place for hate in Irvine, in California, in the United States, and God willing, the world. We saw incredible, hateful, extremist actions and violence over the past, I guess, since human beings have been around. But somehow it's been more poignant these past 2.5 years, and the Jewish people have felt it horrifically since last Saturday. We've had many vigils and memorials here in our local community with great support from our allies and partners outside the community that have joined with us in mourning. But here today, we're here with the greater community, stand together to say that there's no place for hate here, and that despite this horrendous and frightening murders of 11 Jews who went to their house of worship to be together on the Sabbath day to celebrate a day of peace, there's nothing more frightening. And to add insult to injury, here locally an individual decided, I don't want the Jews of Irvine to feel safe in their own home, so I'm going to send a message. But that message wasn't one synagogue. It was to this synagogue and that synagogue and that synagogue saying, you think you're immune to what happened in Pittsburgh? You're not. You should feel threatened right here. You are not safe here. And it wasn't just to the Jewish community. It was saying to every mosque, you are not safe. It was saying to every church that speaks Spanish, you don't belong here. It was saying to every African American church, you are not a part of this country. It was sent to so many people a message. This one just started with the Jews. But we know it's every people, whether or not your race, creed, color, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity. Whenever one of us is targeted, all of us are targeted. So please, do not think this is about only one incident. We had a horrific incident in Pittsburgh. We had a horrific incident at a grocery store last week. We had a horrific incident at a mosque. We had a horrific incident at a church in South Carolina. We had a horrific incident just a few days ago at a synagogue here in Irvine. But they're all symptoms of a hatred and an extremism that is much uglier. And our job is to never let that be normalized. And the problem when it gets normalized is that it escalates. And what we have seen too often, time and time again, in our Orange County community, we have seen it time and time again just in 2018. We've seen what starts as hate speech online, as jokes and stereotypes, escalate to vandalism and to murder. We cannot let it normalize, and we have to stand together. And it's so beautiful to be with all of you, saying that today. The ADL is offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the individual or individuals responsible for the anti-Semitic graffiti on Beth Jacob Congregation, a synagogue in Irvine, earlier this week. And we hope this reward facilitates a quick apprehension of whomever is behind this hateful vandalism on the synagogue. We commend the Irvine Police Department for investigating this hateful act. They are great partners of ours and have been very responsive to our needs, not just this week, but for an extended period of time, as well as all our law enforcement in Orange County. We together, as a civic and as an interfaith community, cannot let this vandalism or any vandalism go unchecked, here or anywhere else. No one should be ever felt to be marginalized. No one should be made to feel like they don't belong. Because we're told there's only one race, and that's the human race. And we're all in this together. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Now I'd like to welcome Tim Jamal, who is the president of the board of the South Orange County Community College District.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I serve as board president of the South Orange County Community College District. We serve over 900,000 residents in 26 communities throughout our 3 campuses: Irvine Valley College here in Irvine with 13,000 students, Saddleback College in Mission Viejo with over 25,000 students, and our Advanced Technology and Education Park in Tustin. I recently became aware that restrooms and club flyers at Irvine Valley College had been defaced with swastikas. Swastikas are clear symbols of fascism, racism, and anti-Semitism, all of which have no place on our campuses, Irvine and Mission Viejo, or anywhere, or for anywhere in our country for that matter. Hatred, as the comments have indicated so far, hatred has no place in our country, our community, or our college district. A place where we bring our children, our friends, to get educated. We have staff and faculty and administrators that come from all over the world, all walks of life. And it adds to our dynamism. Acts of violence and hatred, like what happened in Pittsburgh, are designed to evoke terror and sow discord among us. The resurgence of white supremacists and neo-Nazis around the country and here in our community is truly alarming. And I'm very sorry what happened at the synagogue here in Irvine. I am myself an American of Armenian descent. My antecedents know what it's like to feel the wrath of hatred and bigotry during the onset of World War I and a genocide perpetrated against them. We know that firsthand. I know that in my family. So on behalf of the Irvine Valley College and our entire district, we will never hesitate in denouncing hatred, violence, and bigotry on our campuses. Never. We pledge our support to closely coordinate with the city, mayor, with the police department. We're already doing that in investigating and responding to hatred and all acts of violence that occur on our campuses and our community. I thank the City of Irvine for inviting me to be here today. We pledge our support and solidarity with all of you. Thank you.
I'd now like to welcome Irvine Police Chief Mike Hamill. Chief.
I'd like to first thank all of our partners who are present today to demonstrate your support for Beth Jacob, the Jewish community, and the entire Irvine community at large. Our unified presence today is a symbol of the partnership and solidarity we all share in this great community of ours. As you know, the act of vandalism at Beth Jacob occurred about 1:30 in the morning on October 31st. When it was discovered the following morning and reported to us, officers and detectives from the Irvine Police Department responded immediately and launched a comprehensive investigation. Please know that the Irvine Police Department will exhaust every resource available in investigating this crime and attempting to identify the perpetrators responsible for this reprehensible act of hate. We are also seeking help from the public. By now, many of you have likely seen the video that captures the criminal act of defacing the exterior wall at Beth Jacob Congregation as described. We ask for anyone who has information about this crime to call the Irvine Police Department at 949-724-7200 or call Orange County Crime Stoppers at 1-855-TIP-OCCS, and that also enables you the ability to leave a tip anonymously. I also want to acknowledge and thank the ADL for its generous support in offering a reward to facilitate justice in this case. As members of our Jewish community know, when news of the deplorable act in Pittsburgh first broke over the weekend, the Irvine PD increased patrols at Jewish houses of worship and other facilities. And following the crime of Beth Jacob, we enhanced those patrols even more. We have officers throughout the day and night who are charged with actively patrolling these facilities to ensure the safety of our community. We are committed to continuing this increased presence as long as we are needed. It is my hope that these efforts provide some sense of comfort and security to the Jewish community and to the entire city of Irvine. Rabbi Senior, please know that the Irvine PD is here to support you and the members of your congregation. I pledge to you that we will work tirelessly on your behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next up, we have Pastor Mark Whitlock, Christ Our Redeemer Church.
And joining me is Pastor Jason Aguilar. Come on, put your hands together for him as well. We are tired of meeting for this reason. We are fed up with this conclave of consciousness that weeps because hatred has won. Whether it is Beth Jacob's or the Tree of Life or Emmanuel AME Church, where we lost 9 congregants to hate. We declare today, hate does not wait, but let us not wait to love one another and love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Our Bible says God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, to love, and of sound mind. The crazy fanatics seek nothing more than to divide us, to cause us to walk in chaos. But we declare as a faith community, we are not afraid to work, to worship, and to come together in unity. Why? Because we're not afraid of you, because God will defeat you, and we will win in the end. Finally, we say this, as my Latino brother is together with our African American brothers. In this county, hatred is up 3 times against people of color. While we reported many cases, they don't go reported. We say this, hate does not wait, but let us not wait to love one another, because we're all kin under the skin. We all bleed the same color. Let us start loving one another despite our colors. Now let's give God a hand clap of praise.
Thank you. Next we have Sheikh Atef Maghoob, the Islamic Center of Irvine.
Thank you so much. My name is Atef Maghoob, and I'm the religious director of the Islamic Center of Irvine. Prior to that, however, I was the religious director and the imam of the Islamic Center of Pittsburgh for 8 years. Having lived in Pittsburgh and worked closely with the Jewish community of Pittsburgh, I was heartbroken by the news of the shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue. I was outraged to hear that one of our synagogues here in Irvine was vandalized with antisemitic language. When we witness hate crimes like the shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue, the vandalism of Beth Jacob Synagogue here in Irvine, and the hate crimes against other minorities, we come to the sad realization that the hatred, the bigotry, and the evil of the past are not dead. They were just lying dormant. Over the last few years, we have witnessed people in power or trying to awaken that evil. So we demand from our elected officials and our leaders that when you witness any form of bigotry, racism, anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia, that you take action and communicate clearly that it will not be tolerated in our community. We stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters from the Jewish community in Pittsburgh, here in Irvine, and elsewhere. On behalf of the Muslim community of Irvine, we want you to know that we are with you, that we are one community. What happens to one of us is felt by us all. We'll mourn with you today, but we will fight for you, for a safer community, for a safer America, where no group fears being persecuted and attacked because of who they are. We want you to know that we have your back. If you want us to come and guard your place of worship, just let us know. We'll be happy to do so. Just like any divine scripture, the Quran is no difference. God says, we created you from a male and a female, and will put you into tribes and nations, so that you may know one another. Not to fight one another, not to hate one another, but to be a source of comfort and compassion for one another. And the Prophet Muhammad, he said, none of you is truly a believer unless he loves for his neighbor what he loves for himself. Regardless of his background, regardless of his ethnicity, his faith, his skin color, everybody is in the same in front of God. May we always be a source of love, mercy, and compassion for one another. May we never be a source of trouble or hatred or animosity for one another. I want to thank everybody here. I want to thank the Chief of Police, the Mayor, all the leaders. I want to thank you. May you be blessed. Thank you so much.
Our final speaker today will be Allison Edwards, CEO of Orange County Human Relations. Good morning. My name is Allison Edwards. I am the CEO of the nonprofit OC Human Relations. Let me start by just thanking the folks that are here today. It's a great comfort to be with these leaders and a great source of pride that so many of our leaders are willing to come together at times like these. At OC Human Relations, we believe that all people deserve to live free of violence and discrimination. And we know that we cannot do that work alone. So I thank each of you and so many others that have come together this week. These events send us once again into the shock and grief that has become familiar in a way once thought unimaginable. And while we unequivocally condemn this heinous targeting of our Jewish friends for no other reason than who they are, and while we have and always will stand in solidarity with the Jewish community and anyone targeted by hate, we know that more must be done. Since 1991, our nonprofit has partnered with the county's Commission on Human Relations, local law enforcement, education, and community organizations to track and report hate crime for the County of Orange. After some years of decline, in the last 3 years, we have seen an increase in reported hate crimes and incidents. And recently, the Anti-Defamation League has reported a 57% increase in anti-Semitic incidents nationwide in 2017. No community can thrive if the lethal combination of hate and violence are tolerated or swept under the rug. Many people do not report hate crimes for multiple reasons, including fear of reprisals, concern for their own privacy, and mistrust of law enforcement. However, we urge everyone to report. Reporting these crimes and incidents help us track this activity, provide support for those individuals and communities who are targeted, and educate residents about ways to prevent hate crime. Anyone can report directly to OC Human Relations, and we will walk you through the process, and we can help you when you decide to report to the police. Your reports make the difference in the fight against hate. If you want to know how to report a hate crime, or if you want to report a hate crime or incident, you can go directly to our website. You can learn about other ways that we are working with schools and communities to fight hate there as well. We are at ochumanrelations.org, or please call us directly at 714-480-6570. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. If we have any questions now from members of the media who would like to address any of our speakers today, we can go ahead and start that now. If there's no questions, then thank you for everyone for coming today, and we appreciate your support.
Thank you all.
I was just praying that my phone went off.